Alright, Alien Volt here, and let's take the Yeti challenge. This is Ghost Recon Wildlands. And what they've done is, to keep the community going, they've engaged weekly challenges. And this one is finding the Yeti. So all these take place in Inca Camina, if I say that right. And you'll notice when you're running around this zone that you're going to come across a lot of bodies. And some of them look like they've been ripped up, cut up. Some of them burned. There's crashes everywhere. And so you don't really know what the clues are exactly until you start running around and finding them. And the first clue are these bodies. There's a couple of Unidad soldiers, as well as, this is either a rebel or maybe a local, or even someone hunting for the Yeti. But it's at latitude -20.42 and longitude -66.35. And there are 5 of these to do for the individual single player challenge for the weekly. Now the second one is a cave here. And you'll want to take a helicopter most of the time for these because they're easy to get around the zone. There's no anti-air stationed anywhere in this zone, so you're free to fly around without any issues. The only problem is finding a place to land, and half the time your helicopter skids down the hill, so you have to chase it afterwards. And this cave has been nicknamed the Yeti Cave by players looking for the Yeti. And when you come across the first body here, you should get the notice that you've completed the objective. I'm going to put a bullet in these guys' head just to make sure they're out of their misery. And it looks like the Yeti was quite busy here. That is a large spinal column. Alright, so this clue can be found at latitude -20.66 and longitude -65.40. Alright, for the next clue, it's actually going to be on the side of a mountain. So you'll have to find a place to land safely. You can use your drone to get credit for this, so you don't actually have to physically be on the side of the mountain with them. I just chose to land on the flattest peak I could find that wasn't going to damage my helicopter too much.
Drone is airborne.
See, should be right in this area. And here he is. Now if I remember right, the first time I found him, I thought I could see him in thermal, but I guess not. See, I don't know how close we have to get here, or whether we can just zoom in to get credit. Alright, looks like zooming's not going to work. We're going to actually have to get a little closer. There we go. A lot of detail in this game, though. It's pretty cool. And the world, or at least the country that you're flying around in, is actually pretty large. It's one of the largest maps I've played on. And you'll be able to find it really easy if you look for that red rope. Stands out a little bit. And this objective can be found at latitude -20.54 and longitude -65.87. Alright, the next one is another campsite. Now if you land a little farther away, you won't aggro the unit head soldiers there, like I did, but they're easy enough to take out. I don't plan on staying there very long, so not that worried about it. Plus, I could get the supplies. I'll let it roll and I'll take theirs. Okay, so it should be this campsite right here, and I actually believe it's that poster that's on the ground there. Although I don't quite understand what this is supposed to do with a Yeti outside of just being a rebel camp. Alright, it can be found at latitude negative 20.79 and longitude negative 64.62. And the only thing that I can really see here is just the poster, really. Not the camp itself is significant. The poster actually tells a legend of the Yeti. Alright, and the last clue is actually a plane crash, which was pretty hard to identify as actually being a clue for the Yeti because there were plane crashes all over this region. I really don't see any Yeti clues around the plane, but you do get credit for it for coming here, so this is definitely one of them. Maybe it'll make sense more once we actually get to the Yeti. Here's a tail of the plane. I don't see any bodies anywhere. No signs of ripping or clawing, nothing. Just a crash plane. Alright, and this can be found at latitude negative 19.35, longitude negative 66.79. Alright, now the last thing we have to do is just summon the Yeti. And you actually do that by a stone here next to the river. But before I do it, I'm going to swap out my weapon because there's two challenges in killing the Yeti. The first is a community challenge where they want you to kill it 20,000 times over this week with a shotgun. And then the other one is a group challenge that requires you to be in a task force to complete. And you have to run him over. And to complete that, you have to do it 5 times. But it can be done by anyone in your task force. So if you've got 5 people in your task force, each person does it once, you get it completed. Now another useful hint I'll give you here is that it's good to go ahead and call rebel soldiers and use distractions as well as call a vehicle. And here's the rock. You should get a cue when you come up to it as well as the completion of the task. Now you're going to want to get down right away because this guy will one-shot you. Now the coordinates for the rock are latitude negative 19.73 and longitude negative 66.66. And a little better planning by me would have, I would have moved this vehicle before I actually summoned the rock. But I didn't, so now I had to run to it. Which of course is a risk because you can get killed instantly. So, no real Yeti. The Yeti is a sniper. And we have to get to him without him one-shotting us with a sniper rifle. And he will one-shot you. There's no wounding here. In fact, it only takes 2 shots to a vehicle to destroy it. 1 if he hits it in the right place. Another thing I should mention here too is that he doesn't always spawn in the same place. I've killed him about 10 times now, and half of the time, or actually probably about 3/4 of the time, he spawns on this rock, and the other quarter of the time he spawns on the opposite end of the map behind me where I summon the stone. So be prepared for that. He may not always spawn in the same location, and I don't know if there's any more than those two because that's all I've encountered so far. And he was nice enough to stand still there for us and let us run him over. Other attempts didn't quite go so easily for me. I was using the wilderness shotgun there, and it's quite powerful. Now we just have to climb up and find out where he dropped. There he is. Alright, and that should be it. You should complete your solo challenge of finding and killing the Yeti, as well as all the clues. And let me bring up the challenge menu here, and it'll show that all the phases are complete for the solo. That was my first kill on running him over for the truck for the task force challenge, and then the community challenge up there is the killing with shotguns. So a lot of work, and not that much more time to go. I don't know if we're going to get that community challenge done or not. But anyways, look for new and cool things to do each week with Ghost Recon's Wildland, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.